I did have kind of an uncomfortable feeling for the first few days. Let's say the first 4 days on it, I felt like I was on something. So like the first day, I felt lightheaded, and like I was on a drug, sort of like I used to take, or sometimes I take acetaminophen PM to help me fall asleep. I noticed that if I took two, I will wake up feeling fine the next morning. If I took three, I would wake up feeling drugged. That feeling I had the first couple of days, especially the first day, was the equivalent of taking three. So I felt kind of slightly drugged, you know? That was the first day I was really lightheaded. The second day, I was much less lightheaded, and the effects of feeling kind of drugged was greatly diminished. By the third day, I was not feeling lightheaded at all, and the effects were a little less. The fourth day, now granted, each of these days I was starting to write more and more. Like I was able to like write for longer periods of time. By the third day, I was able to sit and write for 9 hours, which is great. Now I've done that before in the past, but being able to do it now is clearly a sign of the drugs. So I wrote for 9 hours, and when I ended writing, I felt exceptionally mentally exhausted. Granted, before I started taking the drugs, I had gotten to the point where I could write for 4 hours and I would be mentally exhausted. So the fact that I got exhausted after 9 hours on the drug was a plus. And I didn't think much of it because, I mean, I did engage my brain quite intensely for 9 hours. So, you know, it's like when you drink, it's not always the alcohol itself that gives you the hangover the next day. It's all the things you did when you were drinking, all the activity, all that stuff is you're tired. So I thought of it sort of like that. I was taxing my brain past what it was used to, and it was the over-exercising my brain that was kind of making me mentally exhausted. And I was mentally exhausted from about, I think I stopped writing at 7 p.m. I felt mentally exhausted basically for the rest of the night, but about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I got a headache. And that headache continued on until I fell asleep. That was like day 3. On day 4, I wrote for, let's see, I think it was like 7.5 hours. So it was 7.5 hours. And then afterwards, I was again mentally exhausted. And again, 7.5 hours is a lot of writing. That's a long time for anybody. But I had done it in the past, so it wasn't, you know, out of the realm for me. So 7.5 hours, I was mentally exhausted, but this time more than the day before, just drained. And then I got a headache again around the same time. That headache lasted until I went to sleep. When I woke up the next morning, I still had a bit of a headache. So that was Saturday morning. I didn't feel great. I kind of felt a little nauseous sort of thing. But I had scheduled a tennis game at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I went out and I played tennis, and it was said it was 72 degrees, but it felt so hot. And I felt awful. I felt like I was hungover. Basically the way you feel when you're hungover is how I felt. Even though I had taken the drug, I thought, okay, well, once I take the drug, maybe I'm addicted, and now that I've taken the drug, it'll send me back to normal. But I took it at 8:30 in the morning, and I played at 9, and I played until 10, and the entire time I'm still feeling really horrible. So the drug should have kicked in by then, but still there's no difference. I then went to the gym and lifted some weights, and it wasn't until like 11:30, which is when I left the gym, that I felt completely normal. But the thing was, once I felt completely normal, I felt completely normal. So all the feelings that I've had of those first 4 days was gone. It was like I wasn't on the drug at all. And I knew that there would be there was a libido. I know that these drugs have an effect on libido. And I was kind of looking forward to that effect, like I'm sure many people are when they take this drug. So I was looking for the effect, and I also knew that it had a chance of making it worse. So I was talking to my therapist, my psychiatrist, kind of giving him, like he told me to tell him how it was after a couple of days. So I noticed the entire time that I wasn't having like spontaneous erections, right? Not during the day, not while I was writing, which was not so strange. Wasn't kind of out of the place, but I did notice it. So I made mental note, and I knew that after 3 days I had to let him know how things were going. So I decided to masturbate, which, hey, everybody masturbates. There's even a book about it. So I decided to try that to see whether or not it was having an effect on my libido and all that stuff. And it was. It was having a very strong negative effect on all of that stuff, to not go into detail. So that, I did not like that. That was bad. That was on day 3. But here's the thing. By day 5, that Sunday morning, when suddenly I felt normal, everything normaled out. I mean, everything. So it wasn't like I got a boost of libido. I mean, I just got back to where I was. Everything was felt completely normal, and all I was feeling was the slight elevation of the drug. And for me, since it was so slight, well, I felt nothing on Sunday because it's a non-writing day. But on Monday, again, I was able to focus just like I was on the drug. And then I had like other small sort of experiences that you can check out on my video talking about sensation seeking and Vyvanse. Little small sensation things that had nothing to do with, well, just things that had to do with me being a sensation seeker. So on Sunday, I felt basically no difference. On Monday, I had only the focus difference and those small other things. And ever since then, I have had only the focus thing. So really, at the level I'm taking now, I imagine this would be the absolute perfect level for anyone, because I feel exactly the same, except before I started taking it, except that I have more focus. And in terms of the difference between Adderall and Vyvanse is that apparently Adderall has a has a like kind of, you don't feel it, then you feel it sort of thing, and then you're on it, and then you don't feel it, like it's just like switch on, switch off. And Vyvanse, it eases you on, eases you off. I can't tell when the Vyvanse is kicked in. It is so smooth. Like I have no clue when it kicks in. Now, granted, it could be because like the effects I have are very low, very small, that I just can't tell when it's on, and I have no clue when it wears off. Like I can guess because of the headaches back then, but I can't tell you for sure. So to kind of conclude, my experiences on Vyvanse has been positive. All the things that make it different from Adderall has been perfect. I don't want that feeling of euphoria. In fact, I feel like that feeling of euphoria is a sign that the dose is too high. So I've not had that. I haven't had any hyperfocus. I haven't had an increase of libido. I did have the headaches for that period. I did have the lightheadedness. I have had zero irritability, increase in irritability. I have noticed one thing. I did say something really obnoxious to somebody, which is not in character for me, but it wasn't irritable. It was cocky. And that one statement was a little bit out of character. But I mean, geez, one statement, right? So that's it. I would recommend it. I think it's done a great effect. I am scheduled to increase my dosage probably sometime next week, because I would like to see if I can have more of the typical sort of experiences. And maybe I'll do a video after I up it to say what my experiences were. But yeah, it's all been very, very positive, except for that little time period. And that was also, even the libido turned back to normal. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and maybe I'll do another one if you request more information. Perhaps I'll do another one. Yeah, that's it. And also check out my other videos on sensation seeking and Vyvanse if you're interested. Please like the video if you did, and subscribe, because I do videos on many different topics and you might find them interesting. Until the next video,